The world can shatter in a single moment, sometimes quietly, sometimes violently, but for Lucy Montgomery, it shattered the day she signed her father's hospital papers with trembling hands and realized she was trapped. Forced into marrying Dr. Logan Anderson, the man known in their city as a cold, arrogant surgeon with a reputation sharper than his scalpel, she walked down the aisle not as a bride, but as a debt collector paying for her family's survival. She held her bouquet tightly as her heart cracked open, believing she was walking into a life where she would never be seen, never be valued, never be loved. If you believe every soul deserves kindness, forgiveness, and a second chance, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It truly supports stories like this reaching more hearts. Lucy had never imagined love in her life would look like a quiet, dim wedding hall with white lilies that smelled like surrender. Logan stood beside her, handsome, controlled, powerful, yet distant enough to make her feel invisible. She didn't know he was also drowning in chains she couldn't yet see. Behind his icy expression was a man trapped by expectations, forced by his billionaire father to marry a woman he didn't choose, simply to preserve a legacy he never wanted. To Lucy, he was intimidating brilliance wrapped in cold silence. To him, she was another responsibility in a life he hated controlling. Their home became a beautiful, hollow mansion, echoing with marble floors and unspoken pain. Logan stayed late at the hospital, sometimes not returning at all, leaving Lucy to wander the massive hallways feeling like a ghost wearing a wedding ring. He avoided eye contact. He avoided emotions. He avoided her. Some days, he left files on the dining table without a word. Other days, he closed doors before she could speak. Lucy cried quietly at night, believing she was the reason their world felt so broken. But she didn't know that Logan, behind the mask of arrogance, hid scars deeper than hers. He had once loved someone, deeply, fiercely, tragically, and lost her on an operating table under his own hands. The guilt had killed the softness in him, replacing it with walls no one could climb. He didn't hate Lucy, he simply believed he didn't deserve to feel anything ever again. But he didn't tell her that. He just let her believe the worst. Weeks turned into months, and their marriage became a battlefield of silence. Lucy tried planting roses in the garden to bring warmth into the cold mansion. Logan stepped around them, as if even beauty reminded him of things he couldn't bear to feel. She cooked for him, and he left plates untouched. She left notes wishing him a good day, and he returned home late enough not to read them. Yet every night, when she cried herself to sleep, Logan stood outside her door, listening, hating himself, but unable to move forward. Everything changed the night he didn't come home. Lucy received the call just after midnight. Logan had been in a devastating accident on the coastal highway, his car crushed, his body injured, his life hanging in a fragile balance. She rushed to the hospital with shaking hands and a heart screaming prayers she didn't know she still held. Seeing him broken, unconscious, and fragile made her knees collapse. The arrogant doctor, the man who never showed weakness, now looked like a boy lost in the world. The surgeons saved his life, but the injuries were severe. Logan would need months of care, patience, and someone who would stay when everyone else walked away. His billionaire father, furious at the scandal and the bad publicity, threatened to hire full-time nurses and remove Logan from the mansion entirely. But Lucy refused. For the first time since their marriage, she stood firm, her quiet voice trembling with courage. She told his father she would take him home herself, and care for him as a wife, not a stranger. Logan woke up days later, confused, hurting, and shocked to find Lucy beside him, tending to him with gentle hands he didn't think existed in his world anymore. She fed him soup when he couldn't lift a spoon. She helped him sit up when the pain turned his breath into fire. She changed his bandages with quiet patience, refusing to leave even when exhaustion blurred her vision. Slowly, the walls he had built around his heart began to crack. He watched her laugh softly when he accidentally spilled water. He watched her fight tears when he winced in pain. He watched her pray for him when she thought he was asleep. Forced intimacy softened the battlefield between them. The house filled with something unfamiliar, warmth. Logan found himself noticing the way Lucy's eyes shone when sunlight touched them. He noticed the way her voice soothed pain better than any medicine. He noticed the way she talked to his plants in the garden, as if giving life to every leaf. And for the first time since his tragedy, something inside him stirred, something he had buried too deeply, hope. She began reading to him on evenings when pain kept him awake, her voice weaving comfort through the quiet air. He began opening up slowly, revealing pieces of his past that had shattered him. Lucy listened, not with pity, but with a heart big enough to hold his brokenness. Their fake marriage, born out of debt and coldness, began to feel like the most real connection either of them had ever known. As he healed, Logan found himself wishing the recovery would last longer, not for the pain, but because it meant Lucy stayed close. And Lucy, once terrified of him, began to see the man behind the arrogance, the man who needed her more than he ever said. Before the ending, please comment below, what would you do if life forced you into a marriage you never chose? One quiet evening, as Lucy prepared his medication, Logan reached for her hand with trembling fingers and held it against his heart, where the beat had finally begun to feel alive again. In his eyes, she saw gratitude, apology, and something deeper, something tender and frightening and beautiful. In that moment, she realized the man she had once feared had fallen for her, and she, without meaning to, had fallen just as deeply. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these emotional stories reach more beautiful souls like you.